Okay. So Johannes, you're going to have to. Somebody's going to have to direct here. 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
not sure
Okay.
what to do.
Can we get the music on, and Jure, can you get just get accustomed to the space really and how you're going to be performing. I know the green screen conditions aren't ideal, but let's just run with it. I think the idea for this scene, and correct me if I'm wrong, Johannes, is that Jure begins in the space from the very start of the scene. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
that's why I wanted to see the transition to see whether this works from a intertitle into Jew, and then the paintbrush begins.
Yeah. Well, we'll try that at the end
Yeah,
before we.
yeah, we can do it as we move on. So that's good, Jew.
Yeah. So can we get the track for this scene playing, if that's okay, the music track, and then give well the music instructions, if we can get those running, that would be great.
Careful,
Okay.
Jew. You're very low on the edge, so you have to move slightly more in the center. Yeah, that's
I'm
better.
gonna. I want to try one more thing on Jew here. Maybe um, increasing the contrast might help. No, I'll do it later. Okay. So
Hey, uh, can I improvise with your music? Is it possible or not?
oh
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I
I'll
believe
turn the
that's
music
possible.
on. Sorry,
Please,
I was trying to
please.
make some adjustments here. Okay, so here's
Can,
the.
if you can also get the microphone settings as well, that'd be handy. Thank you. Is any of the microphone effects happening, please? Are the microphone effects working? I've got none of it coming to my earphones, so I can't hear it. Can we just pause for 1 minute? 'Cause I can't hear my microphone effects. They're working, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you wanted that. I don't have it up.
Yeah, yeah. If you could get that, that'd be great. Thank you. And if we could try and keep the original brightness for the image, that'd be really good behind you.
I was able to fix Shu's chroma with some additional brightness.
It
That
looks
really
much
helped.
better, and
Yeah, it
yeah.
looks
Yeah.
a lot better.
So remember, we have a poem in this scene, so D needs to be up on mic.
Okay, I have to. You know what? I'm not able to loop the audio because without some kind of it's well, it's warping, and I think I can fix this, but having trouble looping the audio. I'll explain it later.
Yeah, it'll be the project BPM doesn't match the audio BPM. So that's yeah.
And could we try from the beginning again for this thing? Okay.
Yeah. If we can start from the beginning with the microphone effects as well, that'd be fine.
Yes, please.
And the audio. Yeah, I've still got nothing random. So yeah, could I get less of my microphone and more of the effect? Thank you. I've got nothing. Yeah, I've still got nothing. Yeah, I'm getting none of this audio effect.
I don't know what you're talking about. Wait, hold on a second. Okay, what's the problem, D?
I can't hear any of the audio effect.
You mean from
Only
your
if I'm like,
voice?
yeah, it's really quiet, so I can only hear it if I'm like talking quite loud. I'm going to be whispering for this scene, so it's quite difficult for me to actually like hear what's going on that I'm doing.
Can you hear it now?
Um,
Let me check the
Only if I'm like,
levels.
I can only hear it very faintly, so I see it would need less of my own microphone and more of that. Or I've got probably none of my own microphone, but I just need the effect essentially.
Is that any better?
Yeah, if we can pump it a little bit louder, that'd be great.
Okay,
I'm
good.
gonna be
I mean,
whispering.
let me turn up the send a little bit because I've got it way up here. Okay, how about now?
No. Only if I speak at normal volume. I'm not getting. No, maybe I'll try and turn up my microphone. That might mess with the mix.
It's very good, Ju.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I can't hear it unless I speak at normal volume.
You're not hearing it. Let me check. Let me check.
Well, I can hear it. It's just very low in volume, so I have to put it at like normal volume to even hear it slightly.
Okay. Let me turn up the send a little bit more. How about now? Try it now. Can you try it now?
Yeah, I did. I just tried whispering. I can't hear it.
So let's go over the settings again. The pure one is on. The sample 1 is off. The munger is on. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I see.
I mean, I can hear the patch. I can hear the effects working. It's just very quiet and you talk at normal volume.
I think you're only hearing the delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's no munging. Let me try putting the sample in there again.
I mean, even the delay is not quite loud enough.
Okay, try it now.
Nothing. Yeah, I can't hear any of it now. I can't even hear the
Yeah, I mean the data is. Let me try switching it on and off again. Okay, try it now.
No, nothing. Try turning Munger on again and seeing if it does it.
That mag spec switch, that's supposed to be on, right?
It doesn't matter if the mag spec switch is on. That's it. That does nothing in this version, just because that's normally to turn on the output and input in a normal Mac patch.
I mean,
So I had to convert it into a Mac load.
The data's moving.
Yeah. The data's moving. Are you getting output from the actual patch itself? So on the left, because you're running at Max 5, aren't you? So on the right-hand side, you should see an audio input of the actual plugin itself.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's audio coming out of the plugin.
Okay.
Dee, don't feel interrupted. I just wanted to ask you, we did this in week 3 when I heard you whisper the poem. How did you do it in week 3? Live or was it pre-recorded?
It was live. It was live.
So we're
Yeah,
trying
it's
to
just
do
a
it
adding
live.
effect to it now.
Okay.
So yeah, it's gonna be live done. The poem.
Okay. So it's your soundtrack on the one hand and it's your live voice at the same time.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, I might have to just revert to recording it, but I'd rather not because a lot of the other scenes rely on live audio.
Yeah, understood. And Ju, in terms of the timing, I have written down that the music is 2 minutes and 40 seconds, so it's just under 3 minutes, which is about what we were planning for this scene. And yeah, hopefully that'll be just perfect the way you did it today.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, it looked beautiful.
Yeah.
With just the music, I just wanted to add the poems, combined it all.
So Dee, I think that I would really recommend that you give me some pre-recorded material in case we have this kind of problem.
I will do. Is there any? Are we getting any fix for it now? It's just yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's audio going through it. Should I try sample 2?
Well, no. It says audio going through the plugin, and the plugin is outputting something. The problem is I'm not getting any of the output. So it's not in the plugin; it's post the plugin. But I'm not receiving any of that data back. So I'm not getting any audio back to my input. Back to my back to what I'm hearing is the problem. So the plugin is producing audio; it's doing what it should do. It's just that post that process for some reason I'm not getting that.
Okay. That I did not realize because I'm sending you. I'm sending you. Keep talking.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
Yeah.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26,
If
27,
I,
28.
I want to try something here. I'm gonna turn on, but you can hear the music, right?
Yeah, I can hear the music when it was playing. I could hear the music. I just
You
couldn't
can hear
hear.
the music.
Well, at a certain point, I could hear I could hear my effect going off. I just couldn't hear it even close to loud enough to know actually what's happening unless I'm talking at an audible, at which I have more ready volume. Like a lot of this is whispering, which is going through. It's just like I've not got any effect. Essentially, if I speak at normal volume, I was able to hear it, but it was very quiet. So I couldn't hear what I was doing when I was whispering, which is the whole point of the section, really.
I just switched the output on that directly. Instead of going through the master, I'm going directly to you. Does that make any difference?
1, 2, 3. No, I'm not getting anything. I've got there's a slight little like sound that I can hear that's like sounds like it's parroting me, but it's so quiet it's difficult to even tell.
But you hear, what I don't understand is that like you can hear the music just fine.
Yeah, the music is running just fine. It's just the
You hear the
again,
music
I'm not
just
getting.
fine, but they're all going out the same output. You hear that? Oh,
I don't know how to say it. I mean, if the plugin is producing audio, it should be coming to me. Unless you've got the plugin's post effects going to just the master, but then it should still be coming out the same thing. So I'm imagining getting the master.
yeah. I'll switch it back to the master, but you know, it's going out exactly the same output from Ableton that the music is, and then it's going to live air.
I mean, the problem is that I think it's there. I think it's audible because if I speak loud enough, I can just about hear it. The problem is it's so quiet, I can't like make out what's going on in the patch and what I'm actually doing.
Greg, can you hear what's going on? Greg?
Yes, I can hear the music, but I can't decipher what's happening with that max patch.
It doesn't seem like it has very much processing going on.
What I would suggest is we move on.
Yeah.
We unless there's really something that's a showstopper, we should try to pick the.
I mean, it's difficult to be a composer if I can't hear the music. But I mean, let's just give me my own voice back with a soft bit of reverb, and so I can hear it, and then I'll just do it without the plugin then for this rehearsal.
I mean, I think I'm hearing it just fine. So
I'm hearing some crunching on his voice, and I'm hearing the music.
Her voice. Her voice.
I mean, it sounds kind of distorted, but I think that's what you want, right?
I mean, it's not just distortion, it's a granulation process. But the problem is I'm not getting any of it back, really.
Can you hear the delay? If I put the delay on, can you hear that?
1, 2. Yeah, but it's still very, very, very quiet.
How about now?
1, 2. Yeah, but again, if I start whispering, I can't hear.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm at a loss. We'll have to try to figure it out this week. In between, after the session. Okay, let's. I have a question here. We do have we have this other layer that you wanted to use as a foreground.
Yes, I thought at some point halfway through or perhaps as the hand on the right-hand side has completed the Hadrian's Wall, you could overlay these other slanted two sheets, maybe less bright, but so that they appear like a ghostly echo.
Yeah, let me work on this for a second.
Randall, to interrupt, Satinder is in the waiting room.
Oh, she is. Okay, thanks.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
So, Johannes, you see, I made the areas around those two little squares transparent.
wonderful,
Yeah. So
beautiful.
I just made a decision. I just tried it so you could see some of the ideas here.
That's wonderful. And I thought maybe it just occurs as we hear a bit more of Dee's poem, and then suddenly these two rectangles appear above or underneath Ju. That's beautiful, Greg. I love it.
I love it.
When
Wait,
we
hold on a second. I'm not seeing Satinder in the waiting room. Can you tell her I can? She's not in the waiting room. She didn't log in correctly.
Okay.
Okay.
Before Sandra arrives, I'm just gonna reiterate her and she for my pronouns, nothing else.
Okay.
I mean, Dee, you can speak the poem even if you don't hear yourself, can you?
Yeah, I can. It's just difficult to get the effect of what I'm doing, so it's difficult to
I
sort of
know,
pace out
I know.
what I'm saying.
So I wanted to show you. Was that here? I can't remember. I managed to get. Let's see. Oh yeah. This is what I wanted to show you. Take a look at this as an idea. This is the video overlaid, and
Yes, very good.
no. I haven't set it up yet.
I know,
One second.
but I like what's evolving here as a possibility because it's a different color, and I like that the river has this brighter blue.
There we go. So now he's in front. Wait, no, he should be. Oh, I'm gonna have to use his other self. So because he could be behind this thing. Hold on a second. There we go. Now I have to fix.
It's not as nicely chromated, yeah.
I
But
know
it's
I have because
good
I have
idea.
to
No,
make the same change that I made to
yeah.
the other one. Give me a
And
second here.
we can hear what Michelle thinks, and you know whether we like this complexity or whether it was cleaner in its earlier stage without the overlay.
Can you give me a second to get it set up here?
Sure.
I'm trying to get that. Okay, that's probably about the best I can do. Whoops. Anyway, so you see he's behind it now.
Yeah. So we got a foreground and background. That's very good. I mean,
And of course the color can be altered.
Can I say something?
of course.
Obviously, I haven't seen everything, so it's hard to comment. But I did like the purity of the first aspect. So it really depends for me where this goes. You know, in terms of what's the next stage, as to whether this extra blue river, which to me looks like an intestine floating over the top. It's not to me looking like a dynamic flowing river.
I think Michelle has a very good point because initially when I was watching Drew dance with the brush, it was more exciting to me choreographically.
It has a nice it's almost like a calligraphy, it's very pure,
Yeah.
minimal.
Yeah, I agree with you, Michelle. So maybe we'll do just this, and then at a certain point, when we have heard half of the poem, maybe the two small rectangles appear that Greg was mentioning.
Yeah, I quite like that effect as well.
And Drew, it's a good decision to keep your leg pants down to the feet and just have the hands, the feet, and the face in flesh.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, there's Satinder. Hold on a second. I tell you, I have my hands full here. Oh wait, why isn't she coming in?
And Johannes, what do you think for this thing? I just bear
You
my
did,
say.
everything was fine. You are curvaceously rotating
Hi.
over the
Sorry
paint.
about that.
So what you did is fine. Just remember that at one point your head fell out of the frame. So don't go too far to one side. We would like your whole body to be in the space.
Yeah, I need to be familiar with the limitation.
But 90% of what you did was just fine. The way you came up and turned, and it was good. Because it's a slow brush, and I think your movement can also be slow.
And I'm ready to start again for this thing. So when you guys ready.
Well, I think probably we should stop and give feedback and then move to the next and then to the next. And then when we do the run through, hopefully we can see you in performance with Dee doing the poem. Or Dee, would you like to do the poem first?
No, I agree. I think we should get cracking, do the feedback section, move on to the next
Yeah.
part, and then keep going because we're quite
Because we have done this one before. We have not done the scene 9 and 10. So it's totally new territory for us. But let's have 5 minutes on feedback and look at all the issues here. Intertitle into painting. And Drew, you can decide whether you come into the frame or whether you're already there. And then we hear the music, and then Drew's dancing, and then we hear the poem whispered. And then at around 2 minutes, we bring in the two other rectangles.
Okay, so you want to use those other rectangles.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you could maybe have them a bit less bright.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a lot that can be done. I mean, I can make them transparent like that.
Yeah.
I can also, give me a second here. I can change the contrast.
And Michelle, feel free to have a different opinion here, because this is we're just trying out.
I can also give it some color. I don't know. I mean, the paper can have some color.
Maybe a slight bluish tint.
Something like that. What do you think of that? And then a little bit transparent. And then I think that it feels kind of static. I think that it should probably animate somehow. I don't know. Or
I don't know. I quite
somehow
like the staticness because it lines up quite nicely with Jill's positioning, because Jill obviously can't move out of the crop.
Do you like it up there? Where would you want it?
Where we had it when we first put it in, so sort of in front of Jill, about middle of the screen.
So right about there. Something like that?
More in the center of the actual screen. So yeah, maybe a little bit further down if that's okay. Yeah, that works.
And
That's
do you
why
want to you want to scale it at all?
That's you, Johannes. What do you think? And
Well,
Michelle?
I mean, Drew, can you go back to the floor positions or the lower positions so that I can see? Scale. Wow. Now they're becoming too prominent because of the color, and they're distracting from the original action. So I'm not so sure now.
Maybe if we make them more transparent, if that
Simple, yeah.
works.
Simple, yeah.
Yeah.
Simple, yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Okay. So that'll we'll talk about we'll talk about keys for adding that when
Yeah.
we just before we do our full run through. So shall we move on to the next scene?
Well, shall we do feedback now, or
Oh yeah, sorry.
so stop the action and then allow 3-4 minutes of feedback and then on to scene 9.
Yep, agreed.
I think I've already said what I felt. The purity of the brush and dance, with perhaps the 2 squares coming in only at the end. And then we hope that we can get the whisper voice with the poem, yeah, to work with the music. Michelle, do you have a thought on the 2 little squares coming, or do you want them not to come?
I don't personally like them, but that's just me. Because I like, as I said initially, the kind of really pure, quite abstracted sense of this scene, and the fact that it links to this kind of idea of a calligraphy, with the paintbrush and the minimalist side of that. I think when the voice or the poem is then read with this, and the shapes that Dew makes, like these kind of slow meandering shapes that are reflective of the point of the river at this stage in its life, in its span of movement. That to me is more interesting than then seeing these 2 floating because they're repeating what we already see, just smaller and in a different angle. And I like the idea of overlaying something at some point so it becomes more a little bit more complex as you move out of the scene. But to me, this duplication of those rectangles isn't perhaps the right thing to create that.
May I suggest, I agree with everything. May I suggest whether that's possible? We go through the music, it's 2 minutes and 40. We go through the performance in its purity, but we hear the poem, but towards the end, we fade out the big film and we fade in the 2 rectangles as a sort of an archaeological leftover map, just for a few seconds.
Yeah.
So the big painting is gone. What's left is a landscape, and then if he can scale it from mini to big, so it moves forward, it would be a nice transition.
Yeah. That's already looking more interesting. What's
yeah, I
happening
like
on
that.
the screen, and
Yeah.
I
Go
like the way
from
Jew's
that.
head
Whoops. You go
head
from
in
that
hands.
to that.
That was wonderful test. The film runs out, goes into black, and here comes the tiny squares getting larger and larger, and we just see Jew's head.
And just that complete abstraction then of those. And the head looked great, the head and the hands just appearing through those 2 shapes.
Yeah, Drew, so you can stay with the face looking into the camera at the end, and we just see your face. I'll make a screenshot. I agree with everything, Misha. That's wonderful.
Okay, shall we why don't we try that then, as you said, just quickly for the 2 minutes. And try having it transition. If you could transition it, Randall, at approximately 2 minutes in, so it's only for the very end of the piece that it's like that.
Okay,
That would be great.
so I'm going to take everything out but the video. I'm going to put the music in.
Yeah. And we have to wait till the second brush has drawn Hadrian's line. And when that is finished, we can begin that slow transition.
Now, should I replay the music?
Yeah.
Drew is
Do
in
the
the right. Drew has reached the right place, but you started the film halfway through, so now we are in a. So we can only see the drawing once. That's enough.
Let's because this is taking more time, let's move on to the next scene and then we'll try and get it right in the end run through.
Yeah, Drew, do the ending with the face. That's good. Yes, just imagine this is the ending. Yes. And if we can do a zoom from tiny rectangles to larger rectangles moving forward, that would be fantastic. Yeah, slowly coming towards us.
Sorry, I'm gonna animate that so it's smoother.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Oh my God, Drew, you look amazing, like a. Well, that was odd. Beautiful, yeah. And then a fade out to black. Is that technologically possible to do a fade out to black of both? Yeah, super.
Okay, and then I'm just gonna keep going and bring in the next intertitle.
Yeah,
Intertitle
can you cut
9.
the music though and we'll move on to the next track once we get to the scene. Can we cut the track though?
Yeah, I'm doing this all manually right now.
Part 5, wherein Hadrian's Wall makes an appearance, and links eastern and western seas in secret meandering lines like drawings on invisible canvases. Their rhythms evoke new vocabularies for futures that end. But these may also cycle, endure, and recur again.
Now this needs some work, but I have to figure out how to do this without totally obliterating the background.
Yeah, we're not quite right yet. It starts differently.
This is the video called. Hold on a second.
Yeah, but we're starting with the red
Hadrian
soul.
Wall.
The video does not start yet. We're starting with the foreground image of the
Ah.
red soul.
Okay. Okay.
And then Ju enters
you've
the
got
scene.
You've got to cue me because
Yeah,
so
that's it.
we have that one, but we also have this one here.
Yeah, I mentioned a foreground and a background image, but not the movie yet.
Not the movie yet.
So background Hadrian Wall and Lake PNG, and then foreground Red Soul Great Wall PNG.
Yeah.
So
that, yeah.
So do you want this red soul or the cutout one?
Well, since we haven't seen it, we wanted to look at it. Ju, D, Michelle, what do you think?
I want to try different. I want
Yeah.
to try both. To see.
We'll have a look at it, and we have to see how Ju can enter into this to pick her up.
Shall we try this first? With music or not? Or without music?
1 second. I'm trying to make some notes here myself.
Yeah. So this is the proposal. The scene opens after the intertitle with the red dead woman that is now found by Ju. If we can have this as a foreground and then a PNG image in the background, we can do a composition of a composite. But Ju has to be somewhere in the middle. Part 5.
Whoops,
wherein
sorry.
Hadrian's Wall makes an appearance.
I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so here's the music for this section.
Okay. So can we do transparency, the red woman in the foreground or in it, and then Hadrian's Wall in the background? And then Ju entering. It should be a PNG image in the background. No film. No film. First Ju finding a dead soul. And then when we begin the two films, then we have movement. Yeah, maybe check her pulse or see whether she is alive. And then I guess what I was imagining, Ju, is that you somehow from under your shirt, you pull out the red scarf and she fades out and she becomes the red scarf. And that you carry into the Great Wall, and then Michelle's feet become you. Yes. So is it possible to bring the dead woman lower, a little bit lower? Yeah, something like that. Good.
Oop, hey, sorry.
That's good. That's good. If we could have a faint Hadrian's Wall in the background, and you are the priest, last rites for the dead soul. That's beautiful. That's the film. I'm asking for the PNG, please. The ping.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
It's still,
Randall,
Greg,
allow me
help
to
me, Greg.
Yes, I'm here. Randall, it's an image by the name Background Hadrian Wall and Lake.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I've numbered them. I've numbered them very clearly. It says beautiful. Yes. Thank you, Randall. Thank you, Greg. So this is the opening that I envisioned, Drew. You are finding a Chinese soul in Hadrian's Wall. You check whether she's still breathing and alive, and if not, you will take her on your walk towards the north. So after maybe 30, 40, 50 seconds, we can then start the film, and the film will take over. First, the Hadrian's Wall film, and then Michelle's feet. And Drew, once you have picked her up symbolically, you will have to maybe turn around and face the north behind you.
I want to try the idea of picking her up because I can't
Okay.
see if it's possible. Can you try the idea?
Pick up the image.
Oh, hold on. You
Oh,
want
virtually. No, that's good actually, Drew. Pick her up virtually. Well, I would say Drew does the pickup movement, but the body stays on the ground because this looks too fake. So she stays on the ground, but you lift up with the hands the soul. And then you slowly turn around towards the north in the opposite direction. And then as you start appearing to walk on the wall, we begin the film. You're carrying her, arms still carrying her. You're carrying her to,
On this side?
yeah. So you turn around, you have her invisibly in your hands, and then you turn around towards the north.
Like this?
Yeah, except you're walking away. So you turn around slowly, and then, slow, and then you start walking. You're exactly right on the wall. You're on Hadrian. Maybe have your hands slightly more apart so that we can see the hands, yes. And now we can begin the film, maybe, and Michelle's feet.
Okay.
I know it's a lot, but this is the heaviest scene that we have.
Okay, so you want
Okay,
the
that
video
makes sense.
to start.
Feedback, Michelle. Feel free to make other suggestions.
No, I just want to watch for the minute so I can understand.
Yeah. So we earlier had the hand dance in the river. Now the souls are not falling in the river, but he's found a dead female soul body on the wall, and he picks up symbolically her body, but he can't pick up an image, so he picks up symbolically the body and he walks towards the north. At this point, the movie starts where we can see Hadrian's Wall and Great Wall intermingled, and then we see Michelle's feet. That was my idea.
No, I can understand the idea. I suppose I'm understanding it visually as well. Trying to get a
Yeah.
sense of how the composition is
Yeah.
working. And for me at the minute, as I look at this image, I almost want the woman to be a tiny bit smaller in relation to Ju. But I mean, I don't know whether
That can be done.
you've already discussed the kind of idea of proportions and relationship of proportions, but I actually like it better now that she's lying in the foreground than when she was floating up in the air, because the way the body is positioned makes it important. She's lying compositionally in the foreground.
Actually, she's lying in that square, right, Michelle? In that fortress square. Yeah, that's nice. That's like a cemetery.
So so it's just the relationship of the figures, and then I'm just wondering because I really loved what Ju was doing with the red cloth. I mean, that was beautiful, and the abstract shapes. And then as you lift up this figure, I just wondered if the figure can begin to disintegrate, as she's lifted, and so she's no longer, so visibly present because he's walking away with her.
Yeah.
So she's leaving in his
Wonderful.
arms.
I totally agree. So I think Randall and Greg can scale her down a bit and then make her disappear into the ground while Ju picks up the soul. That's excellent. Yeah, that is exactly what we were hoping for. So Ju, the question is, when you now put the silk away, was the silk not working for you at this moment, or can you still imagine it to work?
I need to try, Johannes.
Yeah, you can try. Yeah, because in a way, when you can arrive and look at her and see, is she dead? You can bend over her. She's not breathing, and then maybe from under your shirt, your red scarf comes out. You do a few moments of choreography with the scarf, and then the scarf is around your neck, and then you pick her up and she fades into the ground. And
Let's
you
try
walk.
this in
Yeah.
with the music, please. And
Yeah. And then as you turn around, the film starts of the Great Wall.
And how should I start this thing, Johannes? Should I walk in, or after the transition, I appear already? So, all we need to try. Or
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question. You're asking me what to do when you walk.
no, my question is, how shall we start with this thing?
Well, we have the intertitle.
Yeah,
Then comes the red dead soul and the Hadrian background. And then you enter the scene like you do in scene 1 when you enter the valley. You then find the red soul and you encounter her. Yeah?
That makes sense.
So,
Yes.
so maybe you have to go off. Remember, you are cropped, so 1 meter and you are out of the frame, to the right or to the left. Yeah, you're gone. So you can come in from the front if you want to. You've never done that. That would be a nice entrance. Come in from the front and then walk around her, behind her.
Yeah. And can we try this in with the music,
Yeah.
please?
So let's have a rehearsal.
Can I make a suggestion here that when you say come in from the front, we've done this before and it works quite well. So Shu, if you get right up to the camera but below it so we can't see you, and then you come in. No, not like that. No, you have to come in without. I mean, I just want to try this. Come in not from the side but from the front.
From below. So go crouch and then rise up.
Yeah. Without
Even
getting.
lower. Yeah.
You have to
Even
stay
lower.
within the. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. So you come up almost like from a prayer.
That makes sense. Yeah. Let's try it. Yeah.
Music, please. And scene. Excellent. And pick her up with the silk, as if almost you are, yes, beautiful. And then woman fades out. Slowly turn around and go backwards up the hill and start film. Beautiful. Start film. Beautiful. Yeah, just carry on like this. And then after 30, 40, 50 seconds, add the feet of Michelle.
Just give me a cue.
Give us a fade. Fade out the switch. The audio. Brandon, if you could fade out the settings in the audio, that'd be good.
Should we move on?
Yeah, can anyone hear me? Go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was muted. I asked for the China film to be kept running because the Hadrian Wall, Great Wall film ends in the sea, and I want Michelle to walk towards Wall's End and the sea. So I was imagining both films to be in the last part, and then it will be perfect. Can we have?
One on top of the other?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to see what that looks like?
I mean, I think I had given you the times of my Hadrian's Great Wall film. It's 3 minutes and 46.
Do you want to?
So that,
Do you
yeah.
want to see what it looks like? Let's not worry about timing right now because
Yeah.
I don't have anything automated. But do you want to see what that looks like? I'm just going to
Yes,
show you.
please. Yeah. Yeah. That was what I was hoping, that we can still see the film in the background. That's not the film though, is it?
Yeah.
It is. Is it?
It
Yeah,
looks like it's moving.
it starts static.
Okay.
Cool. Shall we
Yeah.
do a brief
Yeah.
feedback session, and then we've got to move on to the next one. So
Yeah, we
Everyone
can
have
go into feedback. When I said start Hadrian's film, I meant, of course, that was then going to run the length of the scene. Michelle's feet come in as an overlay, replacing Jew. And the Hadrian's Wall, Great Wall film ends with moving into the sea, yeah? The water.
Yeah.
We can stop here.
Michelle,
Okay.
And if that is too long, I can make the film shorter. But I had it as a extended walk. Yeah. Okay,
So
Michelle, Drew. I love the opening. Thank you, Drew. It was wonderful. Beautiful music.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure your performance was amazing.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Yes, Drew. Very, very good. And the one observation I had, Drew, when you are upright and you're taking the silk scarf out, you turn towards the left instead of towards the right. I'm not sure now
Um,
whether it is left or right for you or right or left, but you have to turn towards where the body is. Yeah, the side where the dead dancer is lying with your head. I'll send you a slide and you can remember that. Everything else I think was perfect. But I wanted to ask Michelle, when he drops the silk scarf and then she fades away, is it okay that the silk scarf still lies there?
Hello, am I on mute or can you hear me?
We can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. So initially I thought it was quite nice, but then I decided it was distracting visually, because as the scene moved on, then the red in front was a little bit too intense
Okay.
as a kind of shape. So that was one thing that my eye kept getting drawn to.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. Exactly, Michelle, because I thought when he dropped the scarf and then lifts the soul up, Drew, you can lift her up with the scarf.
yeah, I mean, could it be draped across both arms, so you only see a small amount, so you drape the scarf across your arms and you turn and move. I don't know, it would depend how that looked. Because the red is, obviously very intense. It's a very intense red. It's a lot more intense than the red of the woman's dress. But I really liked the choreography with the red scarf, and I particularly liked it initially against the black background, and then you brought in the green colors of the landscape. But yeah, I mean the red. What happens with the red is quite important,
Yeah.
I think.
I think it's a shroud, like you would carry a shroud of a dead person. So,
Yeah,
Gee, you pick her up as the shroud and carry the shroud away to the north.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And then at that moment, when he turns and he makes 2 or 3 footsteps on the wall, we begin the first film, let the film run a bit, and then begin the second film at the same time as the first film. And then go to the end. And
yeah,
Michelle's film with the feet is not looped. It just runs its 1 minute and 30 seconds. And then we are just seeing the Great Wall and Hadrian's Wall become into the sea, going to the sea. Good. Okay. Do you have observations, comments?
No,
Good.
nothing from me.
Then I would propose, since it's 5:40, we begin with intertitle for scene 10, and we do Drew. You are now arriving in Minchi, no longer with the shroud, but the scarf becomes your traditional dance, element. But familiarize yourself with the music and with this documentary film. And Greg, you're right, it's not meant to be full screen. It's meant to be 90% with a black frame. And Drew walks into Minchi and does a final dance with the scarf.
Did you hear that, Randall?
yeah, but I have to concentrate on what I'm doing here. I can't really pay a whole lot of attention to all the details.
Okay. we're going to have to take a note on that, Johannes, because I think that Randall and I edited that video so that it filled the whole frame.
Okay, that's fair enough. Let's look at it. That's fine, Greg. Thank you. Again, this is all new. We have not seen anything, so let's explore and experiment. I'll go mute.
Okay. I see.
Part 6, wherein the very old cycle of looking for catharsis is waning, and the visiting botanist follows the wind with his VR headset on. In the virtual vision, the senses dance on currents, water and sand and wind. Ariel tells the visiting botanist about tempests and how water is like sand and dust, carried away by the winds to somewhere else. No,
Oops.
Is that the wrong video?
that's very much the wrong video.
Oh yeah. I
It's
don't know why that.
Min Chi, and Ju, you're wearing the green fabric, yeah, around the eyes. The
Okay.
green stripes.
Okay.
Should be.
We're in scene 10, yeah?
Oh, there it is. It's the one. That one.
Yes.
Okay. Let me make sure that it works correctly. Oh, I don't know why that one keeps coming up. That's weird. Give me a second. I know what the problem is.
We're in scene 10, yeah?
Okay, let's try this again. Oh. Why is it doing that?
Yeah. 10 Min Shin scene. Yes. That's it.
Okay.
So, Ju, enter where you exited with the dead soul from that side, and you have the green stripes around the eyes, and you're wearing your silk screen, yeah?
Okay.
Would we be able to shrink him to be about the same size as the people? Well, I mean, this scene actually is.
Well, the images change, but we can we'll have to see him in action. So enter Ju where you exited in the previous scene with the green stripes and the red silk. If you want to, you can still be carrying the soul, but then transform that movement into the dance.
Let me try it. Yeah.
And then let's hear the music for scene 10. Let's go back to the beginning, please. Okay, music, please.
I think there's some warping happening to our music, but it's not. It seems to be skipping certain bits. Randall?
Yeah.
There seems to be some warping happening to my track or something. It seems to be moving. I think it's moving faster, and I think it's skipping certain bits. So it might be that it's trying to turn it into a loop rather than turn it into an audio track.
It's warped. Sorry.
It's okay.
Any comments, observations, please?
I thought it worked quite nicely. I quite liked the green screen of your eyes. I thought it was quite an interesting effect. It might sound strange, but it might be an idea to have you maybe have you dancing facing the screen rather than facing the camera. Might be quite interesting. Just as like
I
a
I think we also
mm,
need to see Jew much smaller. There's a huge landscape and a small Jew. And maybe Jew, when you come in, you are wearing the shroud over your arms. Yeah, maybe you are still carrying the dead soul to Minchi. And if the green bothers you on the face, we'll wait until we can talk about it with Michelle, where the green wool could go elsewhere. So, Randall, is it possible to make him smaller?
Can I say something? So you see these headscarves that are on these workers in the field. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just wondered how it would look if the red scarf was tied around your head in the same way.
Interesting.
But
like this.
um, w- you'd almost have to look at the workers in the field, that not these ones, the ones that were on previously. So don't make yourself look like a sultan, but more like a worker in a field. If you look at the way they tie the scarves.
That's interesting. So you have enough time between scene 9 and 10 to create a headgear that's a protection against the sun, yeah? And then maybe we'll work with some of the green ribbons instead of the silk dance.
I think, well, I mean, the red is really interesting as a continuum throughout. Obviously it was in the last scene, and now it appears again here. And I wondered, in terms of a motif, what it's actually saying is it as we move through the piece, and how it's being kind of interacted with. How is the red cloth moving through the work?
Yeah.
And then what's interesting as well, when you see some of these images that you've put up with the graph type structures or the the very linear geometrics. I guess that's where I thought with the strands of wool, which I'd asked Ju to buy this green screen wool, is whether there could be some sort of lattice work that began to take shape in front of everything. But I think those geometric forms of the landscape are really interesting, and it's whether they can be something in the foreground could work with that.
Well, I completely agree. The red is a leitmotif. It's the Gao Chao, the stilt in the beginning. Then comes the fan in the river, where he first of all meets the soul, and then it becomes the red silk as a shroud for the soul. And now, Chu, picking up what Michelle is suggesting, it could become this protection of the head that the workers have in the field. And you do something with the green ribbons without dancing, maybe just being a figure in the field. Michelle, could he tie the ribbons around his body?
I did suggest a while back tying the fragments to the body so they moved with Ju. He could also, I don't know, make shapes with the green.
Yeah.
Shall we try this idea now?
G, can you see the slide here? G, that's the one Michelle has in mind. Yeah, with the headgear. It's almost like also a COVID thing, right? They have also, it's like a mask.
Is like this?
Yeah. Well, I'll send you the slide tonight. You can take a close look. And then once you have this as your headgear, you could work with the green ribbons to see whether you can create this hay pattern that the workers are doing on your body.
Yeah, it's a really interesting landscape because it's very arid. It's dry and it's almost drought-like. So I think this idea of, protecting your head, of shielding yourself with the red is, perhaps conceptually connected. I really like the relationship to the black tree as well, with the red scarf then disentangled from the head, and draping into the tree. That looked interesting.
And this is the green wool I bought from Amazon, as Michelle asked. So now, how shall we try this idea? Shall I build up the shape?
Is
Yes.
that the wool or
That's
the?
the wool.
Yes, the wool. Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything you can attach it to in front of you just to pull it across the screen, across where the camera looks at you?
The two lampstands.
I can. I need time. So now I can do it. I need a few minutes to hide them in the space. I'm tying it on the chair, and then
Yeah, come up with some quick solution and just,
Michelle, shall I cut it down to?
Yeah, it's just to test it, Ju. It doesn't have to be a complex structure. Just take the line across to somewhere else in the space.
I like this image.
Yeah, because he's kind.
Yeah, very strong.
So, Drew, maybe you are not a dancer. You are a field worker now in Minchin. You are conducting this desertification work.
Yeah, and can you see the structure in the face? What should I do?
you're creating imaginary squares like the desertification workers with the hay. They're planting hay on the sand.
My question is, Johannes and Michelle, can you see the current effect, the shapes I have built up in the space?
It's very
Um,
difficult to see.
Yeah, I can't see anything because it's just
I
taking
have
the
built up,
background.
I have
But
built up.
But true, you don't have to worry about that. As long as you keep working for 3 minutes with the wool, you're going back and forth, creating lines. We don't need to see it.
Yeah.
We just need to see you work.
Okay,
I really like
that
the
makes sense.
idea of
I
That makes
mean,
sense.
Michelle
if that's possible, I
rather
don't know. We can hear feedback in a moment, but try to work, Jude. Try to work for a minute or two, spinning the wool as we did in the Atto Center.
Yeah.
And you're a worker, yeah? You have your protection against the sun. It's very dry, and you are unraveling the wool,
Okay.
going backwards and going sideways and forward. Yes. You are a scientist. Remember? Botanist. How come he's cropped off?
It's the
Because
wool across his body.
no, because I
No.
have him panned to the left side.
Aha.
Now he's in the center.
Okay. Because I don't think it looks good when he disappears suddenly.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this before that there's
Yeah.
not a lot of wiggle
Room.
room there
Yeah, okay.
because we see his whole body.
Yeah.
We see,
Can you
So-
make him smaller?
yeah, but that won't change anything.
Okay, I see.
I can make him really small.
No, not that small, just a little bit smaller because we need to see him work. A little bit more bigger. Okay. So, Ju, you have your cropped frame 1 meter to the right, 1 meter to the left. That's it. That's where you have to work on the desertification.
Yeah.
I wonder if you want to have him fade out when the background fades out. It looks funny to me to see him standing in the black in between during those fade outs.
that sounds like a nice idea. I like the idea of him sort of fading intermittently in and out. It works
I'll do
thematically.
it on the next one. Whoop, what happened to, oh, there we go. I could do a better fade than that, but I don't know. I almost feel like it would
I
be
think he needs
interesting
to stay. It
if
doesn't make sense for him to fade away. I think he needs to stay, Randall, don't you think? Yeah.
I don't know. It looks funny to me, but maybe if he could exit and then come back in after the fade out, if he could time it that way.
Well, I personally think he should stay because he's conducting work while the slides keep changing.
It's up to you, but it looks
Yeah.
like a mistake to me.
Randall, could the videos crossfade instead of going to black?
Well, that would be up to Johannes if he wants to edit it that way.
I had edited them with the blackout so that Drew could be dancing. But now we are not dancing, we're doing work with the wool.
Yeah, it would be better if you had dissolves rather than fade to black. But that would be a lot of editing.
No, I can do that. Michelle D, what do you think? Should I not have the blackouts?
I think
I-
cross dissolves would look better. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Pardon?
Sorry, if you go, Michelle, sorry.
No, I mean, I think I don't understand what you mean by should you not have the blackouts. You mean between the scene, between
Yeah,
the images?
yeah.
Um, I'd have to watch that carefully again because I can't really say at the minute. I do like the points where you just see Jew against the black
I deliberately
background.
did it. Yeah, I deliberately had the blackouts because I did transitions in the catastrophe film earlier, so I wanted this to be different, and we can have Jew as a presence during the blackouts and the scenes of the Minchi. But we do
Maybe
need to find a choreographic solution for Jew. I'm not happy with this one.
maybe instead of fading to black, we have it fade to white between scenes.
To white.
Just fade to white. Yeah, because then it leaves him in stark isolation.
Okay, have to think about that. I can work on that and have the film ready by Monday for us to look at. Or is there a way to remember, Randall, you were talking about ghosting the figure in this. Can you do something to make Jew a bit larger and create a negative?
Let's see.
Make him larger again. So he's working with the wool, but he's
Hmm.
now becoming a ghost himself, a soul,
Let me see.
drifting in Minchi.
This would I think this is going to require a Luma key to do this, and another effect that I don't have set up right now, the
Okay,
duotone.
yeah, I see. I'm not even sure that it would look right. Michelle, what do you think?
I don't know without really seeing it. I think the transitions should be explored.
Yeah,
But in terms of what works, you've almost got to see it.
I mean,
Um,
Drew, you can watch this rehearsal on video to see whether, in fact, if you were a worker like the workers behind you and you did 3 minutes of hard work, yeah, maybe that would be very satisfying. So you are bending forward, you're picking up the wool from the floor, you're stringing it to the left side, stringing it to the right side. You're creating this kind of mesh work.
but do you think? I'm only thinking of the work we did with the red wool before. You see, when this wool is being used, I almost imagine something else coming through, but obviously that's probably not possible with the way the layers are working. But I
It is
wonder
possible.
if
It's
it is
possible.
possible.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're not seeing Dew disappear into the landscape because something obscures his body, but rather something builds in front of him. Um, that's what I was interested to see.
We could, as
Here,
an
I'm just
idea,
going
we
to
could.
use this tree trunk as an example, just so you can see what I'm talking about. So, oh, wait. Oh, no, I have this on top. Oh, sorry. Um, oh, okay, give me a second. I can, because we have a lot of layers here that we're not really even using. Let me get the tree trunk in the middle there. There we go. Okay, so now, I mean, I'm just using that as an example, but it doesn't look like much at the moment.
Um, an idea I've got is why don't we have him instead of doing sort of um like him trying to manufacture laborers' actions, we could have him build a costume of the strips hanging, as Michelle said, as an idea. So have him slowly build that, and the more complete it becomes, the more it sort of obscures his body.
Ah, it becomes more chroma keyed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the kind of idea of something in front of him that he is physical in the space that Jew has kind of manufactured, whether it's a red wool or a green wool. Um, I'm interested to see then, if it does become more kind of dense, but also if Jew then pushes against it or moves with it, puts his hand through it, begins to work with it. I'm just thinking of that kind of physical lattice work we created, which I said in my email correspondence when we were in Berlin with the red wool, and how people enjoyed then, pressing against it and allowing that kind of interaction to influence the choreography slightly. So that idea of working with the space, but to it's kind of, I'd have to see it. It's almost like a Jew would have to create a bit of a outstretching of yarns in front of him. But when they just disappear into the background, that's not the effect I was imagining, because it's, why would you want it like that?
Yeah. The challenge will be in this 2 by 2 meter space or 1 by 1 meter space. He will not have the ability, I think, to string in the short time.
No,
Yeah.
you'd have to make two kind of structures either side with some nails or something in that you could kind of wrap the wool around and pull it to the next one, a bit like tying shoelaces. Imagine these two boards are like two shoes and the lace stretches between them and then back again. I don't know. It's hard without being in that physical space to explore it.
And ultimately, I think what would be necessary is for the strings to be seen in some way. Otherwise, there's no point.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. There is no point in doing it as we're seeing it at the minute. It's just obscuring parts of his body or wiping them out, and bringing the background forward. And that's not what I was imagining. I don't think there's any, aesthetic or creative benefits or reasons for doing that.
I almost think that Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong. I almost think it would be more manually, physically interesting if he was working with a tool like a rake, and we would see him raking the sand so that he looks like a worker. Although I don't know. Is that a good ending? We would have to look at the music again, listen to the music, look at the images, and see whether Ju has the right action here for it to be a strong ending, because that's the last scene. Can we have a wrap up feedback session on this?
Yeah, you want to go back to being able to see each other?
Yeah, we can stop here because we've rehearsed 3 scenes and we've run into this last challenge now of how to end it, and we haven't got the choreography with the images. But I invite feedback from all of you.
Also, Michelle has frozen.
Oh.
And so, Michelle, oh, there you are. There you are. Okay, great.
I was going to say, Zhu, what do you think? Because you were in the space and stuff.
I can't get a feel about the final ending. The ending should be strong. But when I move, I didn't feel that was right. When I dance, I didn't feel that was right because I moved at the beginning, river, so I just imagined the whole picture of the project. So I move at the beginning and then I draw dancing with the river and then also pick up the soul. So at the end, when I dance it again, I didn't feel that was right.
Okay.
So, and then the week for the ending. So yeah, it's all about my feelings. Yeah. So I need to think about that. I need to review the record and then to think about that to try different ideas.
I mean, the wool is and the strings is a great idea if we can somehow think of an action that you can perform that looks like you are working with the Minchin situation.
I mean, I kind of, in a way, could imagine him creating a very physical kind of lattice work, because you're in red, like we did before, but more kind of squares, because because the landscape is, it's divided into squares, but the
Mhm.
squares, you can be much bigger because we're in the foreground, but we're looking through the red squares into the other squares. So we're creating a sense of perspective. But without testing it, I have no idea how that's going to look. And also then, what that does for Ju's movements, the choreography, because I can see that it's not right at the minute, Ju, the way you're exploring the movements in relation to those images that are coming up from the landscapes with the workers in the fields. There's a disconnect at the minute
Yeah.
with that.
Michelle, I was just thinking because you asked for the strings. I just looked in my bag. I have these very heavy ropes. What if the green string was more like a rope and could become something that Ju is working with in the field?
Yeah, I think as long as it shows up against the background, that would be interesting. More heavy duty rope, because it links to labor, to working is an interesting one. If you want to go back to the maritime and the kind of link to the sea, maybe there's some knotting that you could be physically doing with the rope, knotting these structures into the rope. Um,
And then again, Ju, it would be manual work, like you would be doing something with your hands and the rope. And I think that would be in keeping with our theme.
Yeah, I mean, I think this idea of tools, of some sort of tools is interesting. But I do like that rope. I mean, if there's any way Ju can have that rope to explore, then that would be interesting to look at. Um, some sort of netting, heavy duty netting.
Because in a way, I mean, sorry.
Johannes and Michelle, so when I did this structure with this green wool, so did you see anything? Nothing, right? Did you see any? No?
The only thing it did, Ju, is it takes a slice out of your body, and we see the background coming through.
Yeah.
Is it so because it's green like the background, and it's literally just showing us background instead of your body, which is why I was asking, is there any way we could have something different coming through the wool, but maybe that's not possible.
So I think we're going to have to. Sorry, I think we're going to have to wrap
Yeah.
pretty soon. But I wanted to ask Satinder if would you like to make any comments? You don't have to, but if you'd like to, you've been very patiently sitting through this whole session. Are you there? Oh, I think maybe she got knocked off. I can see her, but I think she's frozen. I don't know what happened. Anyway, can I just make a suggestion for our workflow for next week? So we really need everything earlier because I didn't get everything until 4 o'clock yesterday, and I
Partly my
had
fault.
to. Well, it was your birthday. It was Greg's birthday yesterday.
Oh,
Happy
happy birthday.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Greg!
Yeah. So, but anyway, I had to get up at 4 o'clock this morning to be ready for this, and it's gonna kill me if I have to do this again. So, what I would like to ask is if you could get everything to Greg by the end of Wednesday, and then and I think it would also be really great, Johannes, if you have any questions about anything before you hand it off, could you check in with Greg?
Okay.
Because then that's going to be it. We're going to then Thursday Greg's going to work on everything, make sure it's all ready to go and get everything into our script form, and then I'll have a whole day on Friday to prepare. And I just want to say one last thing is that every single little thing that you want to do is a cue. And so it's got to be detailed out somehow. Um, so so in other words, I have to do something. I have to have something set up and automated for every little thing, whether it's somebody getting bigger or fading out or whatever it might be. That they're with all. I mean, we could do it, and I think it's great that but we're probably talking about at least 100 cues for this whole thing. And so we need to put that all together. Then I need to set it up in the studio. I need to be able to automate. I need to be able to just hit a button for each cue. And so that's why we've been stressing the spreadsheet. But Greg's going to do the spreadsheet. You just make sure that he has everything he needs. Greg, go ahead.
Yes. So I've been working on the spreadsheet. The newest version ends with the number 6 and then the word new, N as in Nancy, EW, water. Uh, that's at the top of the DAP-Lab media folder. I made a secondary folder just for all of the older full librettos, so that if there's anything missing, you can go backwards and try to find it. And I've tried to streamline the information so that here's the column with the visual image file names. Here's a few very brief words about position and location, because hopefully Randall's saving some of those as presets. So that, as he was saying, ultimately he needs a set of, let's say, 100 cues. Push this button, number 1. Push this button, number 2. After this many seconds, push this button. It's a whole series of specific events in order to realize D's music, G's movements, this video, that still photograph, this coming in. So look at the new cue sheet. I've tried to streamline it and formalize it a bit. Last thing, Johannes, I've also begun to try to abbreviate some of the descriptions to get down to the physical movements as opposed to the feeling state or the poetic description of the event, so that we understand these are actions that we're trying to articulate in this spreadsheet to serve as a cue sheet for the performance or workshop performance or dress rehearsal.
I understand. And I did look at the black and white, and you had extensive narration. So Dee and I worked all week on adding narration. What I then realized is I need to simplify the number sequence. Film 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Zack. You have the images numbered. But then when you're talking about 100 cues, I realize Randall needs cues. But in the spreadsheet, there's no room for cues.
Let us worry about that.
Okay, so I can now, like after we rehearsed today, I remember exactly that we started the Hadrian's Wall film a little bit later. We did this. So I'm going to try and send you my cues, and maybe you can put them in the Excel S sheet.
Okay.
That's fine. And all we have to do, Johannes, I don't know if you work with spreadsheets, but you just make
No, I
more
don't.
Yeah, I had a feeling you didn't.
No, I
So
never. Yeah.
so you make more rows.
Ah,
So every cue is a row in the spreadsheet.
okay. I also need to communicate all the time, every day with Dee, because I realized there were 2 poems we're not yet having. Dee, so we need to look at those poems. Yeah, the Oblivion Banjo and Juice Plant poem. And of course, we need to see that the microphone works. And I'm sure we'll get it all worked out. Next week is dress rehearsal, right?
Yeah.
We do the whole thing.
Twice.
Maybe a couple of times.
And we need to, Michelle, we need to worry about the ending. That last scene has to be beautiful, So, Julie, we'll work on that and we'll communicate this week.
I would suggest that for the next rehearsal that we spend the first half just working on anything that needs to be worked on, and then the second half we try to do at least 1 run through, if not 2.
Okay, agree.
Johannes, one little aside. If it's easy for you to work in a Word document and send me a Word document, that's great, because then I can copy and paste
Okay,
into the
I can do
spreadsheet.
that.
Just not
Yeah.
in an email. Don't give us anything in an email.
Okay.
It's got to be in a document.
Well, I
It's
mean,
just
I don't know
the
why, but
emails get lost. The emails just get lost, and we can't keep track of it. It's too
okay,
much.
I know there were
Thank you.
50 this week. I know.
No, you can send emails. I don't care if you send emails, but when you want us to really have the information, put it in a document, any kind of document. It doesn't matter if it's a spreadsheet or a Word or anything, just as long as it's not in the email.
May I ask D. Kathleen how D. Kathleen, can you help me with the cues for the music?
Yeah. Yeah.
he's
Okay,
been
good.
or she's been doing that. I can see Dee's done a lot of work in the spreadsheet to
Okay.
put information in there. Oh, one little creative thing I personally liked. I didn't hear anybody else commented about this. I liked seeing both the text of the intertitles
Yeah.
and hearing the text
Yeah.
of the intertitles.
Yeah, me
I just
too.
like that. I like your voice, Johannes. I like your expressivity, and it offers a depth to the experience that I appreciated.
Well, I love that, and I think Dee will do a few of the texts, but I'm happy with that. Text and voice, good.
Well, they're all going to be in your voice, though, right?
No, Dee is speaking a few.
But
Is
then
that?
you have a different narrator.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Well, there's like the voice, the narrator. You don't change narrators.
Randall,
Oh, yes, you
with,
do. Sometimes in life you do.
with your propriety here.
Yeah.
It's like in a movie. You have a narrator. It's one voice. But it's
Well,
up to you.
Two,
I'm just
we are
saying.
him
we're
and her.
symbiotic. We're symbiotic. We're symbiotic.
So then it's more like a dialogue. This
Yeah.
narrator, two narrators, they're kind of speaking to each other.
No,
Yeah.
it's a symbiotic. Sometimes it's she, sometimes it's him.
Okay. All right. Whatever.
And I was even asking, I was going to ask Michelle to speak maybe one of the intertitles. The one, maybe one that you can
Well, then
choose, Michelle.
maybe Greg and I should also do a few.
Okay, so, all right. Dress rehearsal next Saturday. And then, by the way, the workshop performance, we can't just start bang because today took us half an hour. So, should we meet half an hour before the 4 o'clock?
I would say 1 hour before when we do the performance.
Okay.
And then
We
we can
should,
take a break.
We need to be ready, right?
Yeah, in other words, we should just make sure all the technical is working and everything. It's like a call. So that would be like for you a 3 o'clock call. And we run through the tech, make sure tech is good. Then we could take a little break if everything's fine, and then
Leave
start at 4.
Yeah,
and
leave everything up and running.
Yeah.
Come back.
Okay.
A little before the actual performance.
Oh, and I'm going to send out the email announcement probably Monday, actually.
Okay.
Does anybody have any comments? I sent it to everybody, the draft.
The press release. Michelle, have you seen it?
It's an
Okay.
announcement.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it. I had a look. I mean, I didn't know if it was for me to comment. I thought others should comment. I mean, everything to me looked fine.
Well,
I
I
mean,
wanted
it
to make
was
sure there are no errors like in your
it was
bios
it
or
was
anything.
Randall's
Yeah.
idea to pick the photo. I did not choose those. Randall picked photos about us because he didn't want portraits,
Mm.
and I thought the
Headshots.
choices were lovely.
Good. I don't like headshots. I think they're fake. Sorry. Okay, well, thank you. That was really,
That was
that
awesome.
was spectacular.
Yeah.
That
Me?
was a great rehearsal. That's like right up there at the very pinnacle of the Third Space Network.